Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. I'm so excited that 2022 is a huge, robust year for video game conventions. I've already done the Midwest Gaming Classic this year, and I want to talk to you guys about the shows I've got coming up. Just tell you a little bit about each one. Guests I'm looking forward to seeing, friends of mine, and just it's going to be a great year for gaming shows. There are so many shows all over the country that I can't do them all, but I've got a really busy year, a great lineup of shows, so let's get to it. Like I said, I did the Midwest Gaming Classic in April earlier this year. That was amazing. It was a lot of fun to check out Milwaukee. I had never been there before, and it was super fun hanging out with some of the Metal Jesus Rocks crew and Adam Korlick. We had an amazing time. Let's get to the shows coming up. Southern Fried Gaming Expo in Atlanta. I've always heard about this show, but I've never done the show before. I have been to Atlanta, and the last time we went, it was as a family, and my wife had been wanting to go back to Atlanta because there's a couple of things she's been wanting to do. So when the opportunity to go to the Southern Fried Gaming Expo came up, I jumped on the chance, and I will be doing a panel there on the great video game crash of 1983. We are driving there, so that should be an adventure. It's quite the trek from Texas, but it's definitely going to be worth it, I believe. And anytime my wife and I go anywhere to another city, we have an absolute blast. We just have so much fun exploring towns. Now at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo, July 15th through the 17th in Atlanta, I will put links to all these conventions in this video. Warren Davis is going to be there, the co-creator of Qbert. Now Warren has been a friend of mine for a while. I kind of helped proofread his Qbert book that he has now out. You can check out his biography on the creation of Qbert and on his life. Really cool, and he sent me some early chapters to take a look at, which I was truly honored by. That was awesome. Paul Niemeyer, Mortal Kombat artist, great guy, a ton of fun. Tim Kitzrow, the voice of NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, another great guy. And what I like about these video game programmers and the guys that did the art on the old games, some of these guys are older than me, which is kind of cool, because when I appear there with just YouTubers, I tend to be the oldest one. So it's kind of cool that some of these programmers are older than me. I don't know why that's cool. Whatever. Zap Crystal and Mr. Right Way are going to be there, good friends of mine, also Texans. And I will be doing a panel on the crash, like I said. That's going to be a ton of fun. My panel is actually Friday night at 7 at this show, so that should be interesting. I don't know if everybody will be gone to dinner or partying or something, but hopefully some people will show up at the panel. That's going to be a great time. Luckily, it won't be during vendor hours, I don't think. I think the vendor's room is Saturday and Sunday. Friday night, they're doing like free play arcade and that kind of stuff, so we'll see. Classic Game Fest is next up after that. That is the very next week, July 23rd through 24th. I make this show a priority every year because David Kalin, the owner, is a good friend of mine, and he's been very supportive of my book series from the beginning, all my books. And I've helped support Game Over Video Games, which he runs as well. And we've had a great mutual friendship during all this time, dating back to about 2007 when I did my first video game book autographing. So pretty cool stuff. Warren Davis will be there, Tim Kitzrow and Paul Niemeyer. A week later, these guys are going to have to see me again. David Murray's going to be there, the 8-bit guy, a fellow Texan. Really nice guy, kind of humble and soft-spoken, but man, the guy knows a lot about retro tech. Going to be great to see him. Brian F. Collin is going to be there, the creator of Rampage. Really cool guy, really nice guy. We had a blast hanging out at the Houston Arcade Expo last year. Jeff Wittenhagen is going to be there, and you guys got to see what he's been doing with Nintendo Switch games. He's publishing Nintendo Switch games. How cool is that? He's an author, and he's contributed to my first SNES Omnibus book. G to the Next Level, another Texas guy, very cool, is going to be at this show, and I believe we're doing a Texas content creators panel at Classic Game Fest, but we'll see about that. I heard mention of that, so we'll see what's going on with that. Always love Classic Game Fest. I always sell a ton of stuff. Austin, very prosperous city and a very passionate retro gaming community, in part because it is the home of the Game Over Video Games chain owned by David Kalin, who does Classic Game Fest, who puts it on every year. I don't know where he gets the time to do all that and raise a family, but he's a great guy, and he definitely is a great family man and a great business owner. Very cool stuff. Next up is Game On Expo, put on by another longtime friend of mine, John Lester, Gamester81, an amazing guy, super popular YouTuber with over 100,000 subscribers, but he remains humble. He remains a very nice guy, and I am so thrilled that I'm going to be a guest at Game On Expo. That is awesome. John Riggs and Metal Jesus Rocks will be there, who I hung out at the Midwest Gaming Classic. As I told you guys, I met them a few years ago at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo and have just been friends since. They're just really nice guys, really interesting to talk to. At the last Midwest Gaming Classic, Metal Jesus and I got into some pretty deep dives on rock and roll music, which we definitely share a passion for, so that is very cool. Warren Davis will be there, Tim Kitzrow, wow, these guys are going to be sick of me. And G to the Next Level, very cool, Game On Expo in Phoenix, Arizona. I am so much looking forward to that. If I didn't mention, Classic Game Fest is in Austin, Texas. That is cool. Okay, because I love Austin, and we always have a great time on that Saturday night of the show, checking out the bats and the live music scene on 6th Street. So anyway, Classic Game Fest, July 23rd through the 24th, and then Game On Expo, August 5th through the 7th. Now, August 7th is my birthday, so I'm going to be spending the last day of the show on my birthday, which is pretty awesome. Now, my wife is coming out with me to the Southern Fried Gaming Expo in Atlanta, but the rest of these shows I'm going to be doing mostly by myself, except Classic Game Fest. My son Ryan will be with me, so that's cool. But at Game On Expo, I'll be flying out solo to Phoenix, and so the last time I did Game On, that was a ton of fun because I really love walking cities, and Phoenix is a good walking city. Even though it's hot, I like to get up early in the morning wherever I go and just walk around checking out the city. And there's a lot of cool public art and interesting architecture and desert surroundings at Game On Expo. Pretty cool. Next up is Long Island Retro Gaming Expo, August 12th through the 14th. Now, Long Island obviously is in Long Island, New York. Now, I've been to New York a couple of times, once on a 2-week vacation with my wife while she was working there. I just went along to have fun and check out the scene, and I loved New York City. Talk about great, amazing walking towns. Holy cow, New York City is probably tops for this. Unbelievable. I've never been to Long Island before, and I'm just really looking forward to checking that out because I always love to go to a new city. That's August 12th through the 14th. That should be an amazing time. Again, John Riggs, he's going to be there. He might be sick of me at this point. He was very kind to let me crash with him at the Midwest Gaming Classic earlier this year. Him and Adam Korlick put up with me. That was awesome. Jeremy Parrish is going to be at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo. This guy's amazing. He's a great video game historian. He's been doing this a very long time. He's been writing online content about as long as I have. His Patreon is off the charts. He's got 627 patrons, and that is absolutely amazing. That is a great number, especially for a guy that's not like big on YouTube or anything. So compare this to Metal Jesus Rocks, who's maybe arguably more well known in the retro gaming community just because of his big YouTube channel. He's got an amazing Patreon as well at 319. But Jeremy Parrish just about almost doubles that with 627 patrons. That is super impressive. I will be doing a great Video Game Crash panel at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo, and I'll look forward to that. I'm not a natural born speaker, but I have a lot of fun at these conventions telling stories of back in the day when, you know, just retro gaming was just kind of a niche hobby, sort of, you know. After the great video game crash of 1983, there were people who collected retro games, but you know, they weren't, you know, until the fanzines of the 90s and then the internet explosion in the late 90s, you know, it was hard to get together and to really know fellow retro gamers. You corresponded a lot online and through the mail. So it's just fun telling stories of those days, which I like to do at these panels. Next up is the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, October 14th through the 16th. This is another can't miss show for me. I went to 3 years in a row to this show after years of wanting to go. But after that third year, they haven't had the show 2 years in a row because of the pandemic. I'm so happy this is coming back this year, October 14th to the 16th. Another great walking city. It's an absolutely gorgeous city, and it's so beautiful in the fall with the fall colors and everything, and the cool weather and the river that goes through the town. It's a beautiful city. And they don't have info on guests yet, but I'm assuming the Metal Jesus Rocks crew, most or all of them will be there as they typically are because they are up in the Pacific Northwest. Now, Kenzie has moved to Japan. I'm not sure if she'll be in town for the show. I hope she is. That would be awesome because she's super nice. But we'll see. I love the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. It's the closest thing we have these days to the Classic Gaming Expo in Las Vegas. It has that vibe because it has the auction. It just kind of has a similar feel to that show with a lot of us really old school retro gamers. Love that show. Next up is Retropalooza in Arlington. That's October 22nd through 23rd. That's Arlington, Texas. That's between Dallas and Fort Worth. This is the closest show to me where I live. And this got a pretty cool guest lineup. Boogie 2988, really nice guy. You might think he's kind of a drama queen because of his YouTube channel, but he's actually a really nice guy and he seems sincere to me. He does have some dramatic stuff on his YouTube sometime and he gets very personal. But hey, you know, that's his personality, that's his vibe on his channel, and props to him. I think does a good job. He has a cool channel. The Gaming Historian will be there. He does these little, obviously you guys know who the Gaming Historian is, Norm. He does these great little mini documentaries on YouTube. Really nice guy too. Pixel Dan is gonna be there. Awesome guy. I've only spoken with him a couple of times at conventions, but I did interview him at a Retropalooza. He just automatically seems like an amazing guy. And in addition to video games, he knows a lot about retro toys as well. Ask him about his book that he's written recently at Retropalooza Arlington. He didn't write the book there, he wrote it, and I'm sure he'll have copies there. The Game Chasers will obviously be there because they host Retropalooza. 8-Bit Eric, one of the nicest guys in YouTubing, will be there, good friend of mine. My Retro Life, Tyler Esposito, another great guy, good friend of mine. He actually came over to my house one time and checked out my game room and did a video on my collection, so that was pretty cool. My office as well. Tyler Esposito's channel is absolutely exploding. My Retro Life, it's excellent. A lot of great vintage footage. OK Chief will be there, another popular YouTuber that's just amazingly humble. G to the next level, maybe sick of me by the end of the year because I'm gonna run into him 2 or 3 times. But just a great guy, and I did interview him for my channel, so you guys can check that out. Next up, now this is potentially my last show for the year, but I might do one after that. I'll tell you guys in just a minute. So this one I'm definitely doing. It's called Torg, and it's in Columbus, Ohio. It's November 5th. They reached out to me to be a guest author / historian at the show, and they're doing something called the Gaming Power exhibit, where they've got this amazing video game console museum set up there. I believe there's going to be over 100 consoles, including a lot of rare stuff on display there. I'm doing this exhibit with John Hancock, another really good friend of mine in the YouTubing community. Great guy. We're going to be basically set up in the midst of this massive gaming walkthrough history, this big exhibit, this big display with a ton of amazing stuff. Just talking to, you know, attendees and talking about gaming history and just the different consoles, sharing stories of growing up with the Atari 2600, the NES, and all these great consoles from the past, talking about rarities and all this kind of thing. So that should be a really interesting show. Radical Reggie is going to be at Torg as well. And Torg has done an amazing job of promoting their show. They're a constant presence on social media. Amazing stuff. All these shows are looking to be great, are going to be well attended, going to have an excellent guest lineups, going to be unbelievable. I might do, I'm not sure yet because I haven't heard from them. I haven't heard from the promoter. I might do the Houston Arcade Expo. That's November 11th through the 13th. I was a guest at that show last year and had a great time hanging out with Sam Jones, who played Flash Gordon in that awesome 1980 film. He was so cool. We even did a swap where I traded him a copy of my 100 Greatest book for a signed poster, and he is fun and funny. I don't know if he's going to be there this year. I haven't looked at their guest lineup, but if you guys want to see me at the Houston Arcade Expo, please contact them through their website or Facebook or whatever and request me as a guest at the show because I had a great time last year. Houston Arcade Expo is November 11th through the 13th, and I hope I make it down. All right, guys, these are the shows I'm going to be at this year. At most of these shows, I'm going to be a guest. Regardless, I'm going to have an amazing time at every one of them, and I look forward to seeing a lot of you there. If you do come to these shows and you see me there set up with stacks and stacks of books, don't be intimidated that you have to buy something. Not intimidated by me, I'm nobody. I mean, don't be intimidated by, oh, he's selling stuff, I don't want to go by there, get the hard sell. Just come by and say, hey, let's talk retro gaming. Let's talk about your favorite console, your favorite game, or whatever. And if you are a fan of my books or my YouTube channel, absolutely come up and say hello. And, you know, just check out my latest book. I'm not sure if my next 100 greatest book covering 88 through 98 will be out in time for Torg, which is November 5th, because the book is shipping in late October into November. We shall see. And I guess it's sort of possible I'll have it at Retropalooza Arlington, October 22nd through 23rd, in case it ships early. Sometimes that happens. But regardless, one of my lights just went out. But regardless, these are going to be amazing shows. I will have my books for sale. I will be autographing books, and I might have some freebies at my table as well, like bookmarks and buttons or whatnot. But be sure, come by my booth. Just say hello, introduce yourself. That would be amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for liking this video. Let me know what conventions you are going to in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. We will see you on the road at some of these shows, hopefully. Talk to you later.
It's me, Mario! Here we go!